All right, Ken, I got a question for you. Can multi-sites be a broader multiplication strategy? What does that look like?
It should be from the very beginning. In fact, when you're planting a multi-site ministry, you need to realize that it really is one day going to be autonomous. Imagine a parent who births a child who doesn't one day want that child to go off on their own. But that's the key. It's a long time. I've laughed before that I want my kids to be gone at 3 or 4 or 5 years old at times on some of the rough days. But I don't get rid of them yet because they have to mature. And the reason multi-site is so successful is because there's a long-term commitment to one another.
Very true.
We know that one day the leadership is going to change, the culture is going to change, the ministry models are going to change. And so there will come a point where it just autonomously separates. And that's a good thing because now it's ready to create its own DNA for its cultural context. That's a great thing. But you have to, from the beginning, have a strong commitment to say, we're in this for the long haul.
What would be the long haul for you, like on average?
Yeah, I'm always thinking 10 years. That's going to take time, and probably 10 years from now I may have a different answer.
Yep.
But to have that commitment, it's much different than a mother-daughter that would say, we're committed for 1 to 3 years, and we'll give you less money as time goes, or more, however you have that set up.
Right.
But 3 years it's been proven. That's why it goes quick. And that's why it's only a 40% success rate, because they are getting kicked out of the nest before they're really ready. By having a 10-year commitment, you're saying, we're going to be able to go through all the different life cycles that will come, and the ebb and the flow. The emotion of the launch will come and go, and then you have all the different nuances that happen. And so we're committed to really a 10-year strategy, knowing that it will be maybe autonomous at that point.
What would be some of the signs, like when you're trying to discern, is this the time for that to go autonomous?
Right.
In your mind, what are some of
so
the
if you've
signs?
got several sites, and these sites are all really humming, but there's one site that just continues to show signs of a real strong missional calling that is different from the DNA of the sending location or the other sites. And there's organic conversations, not fights, not grumpiness, but healthy conversations of just missional differences. That's really probably a healthy time to start saying, what would be a good transition plan? And come up with, just like you have in senior pastor transitions, that same kind of strategy where you say, let's come up with an 18-month strategy for doing this, or a 3-year strategy for going autonomous. So it's not just an abrupt, we didn't see that coming.
Right. So you can see multi-site being a church planning strategy.
Without a doubt.
To move churches to an autonomous level.
I may be biased because I'm looking at multi-site so closely all the time, but from the beginning, I say to all of our sites when they launch, you're really only successful long-term when you have a successor. And so we want you to go into this plant thinking about where you're going to plant next. For example, where I'm at in the south towns of the Buffalo area, there's many communities south of Buffalo, bedroom communities, and some communities that just sustain themselves that feed into Buffalo. We're in suburbs. For us just to jump into Buffalo, not going to happen. There's just the urban and suburban tension. But so what we're looking at is going into South Buffalo, which is a transitional community between urban and suburban. And if we can launch a multi-site there with the idea that the planting of that and launching of that multi-site is a long-term strategy to move even further north into Buffalo.
Right. So you do tell people from the beginning.
You have to.
Hey, just so you know, you're going to reproduce.
Exactly.
Kind of leads to another question, I guess, is like, because we don't talk about it a lot, like multi-sites reproducing. Can multi-sites, the actual sites, become a reproducing entity? So
they have to.
They have to.
They have to. And so we stress that from the very beginning. You're a missionary for the rest of your life. And if they can get that in their DNA from the beginning, then it becomes a movement that we've always wanted it to be.
And what about the financial piece to that too? Like, would you set them up with a portion of their budget is going to the next project?
There's two different models that I've actually personally been involved with. One is the 70-20-10 model, where let's say the site takes up an offering every week, and so 70% of that money stays on that campus ground. 20% of it goes to the ministry central, or the governance of that ministry overall. So that actually feeds all of the bureaucracy that's needed for the work of the ministry. 10% is the tithe into future sites. So it's called a 70-20-10 model. Many different ministries around the country use that. I've been a part of it. I love it. It's a very strong way to do it. The ministry that I've just recently taken over as senior pastor as Wesleyan Church of Hamburg in Western New York, we actually have it as a line item. And so, but still in that line item, when we have our own budget for that campus, one of the lines in the line item of that line item budget, gets confusing, is to be a tither to future sites. So it's in our thinking at all times when we look at the budget, we have to use that money for planting other sites. So you're always thinking, so money has to really guide. That's the beauty of a budget, because it guides and focuses you so you don't get distracted. You're constantly reminding you that you are a planter first and foremost to launch other sites in the future.